Let's kick off. So, hello, my name's James. I work for Breedr. And if you don't know what Breedr is the precision livestock app for forward-thinking farmers. And our mission is to simplify livestock farming, helping you to produce and market more profitable animals with welfare, with higher welfare and less waste. And this evening, I am joined by Ian. And Ian, you are the founder of Breedr, aren't you?
I am James for my sins. So yeah, thanks for having me on. You've been doing a great job on all of these webinars and it's been great to see. And it's very exciting to join, even though it's a hot day. Appreciate everyone who's come out.
Well, it is definitely warm. And so what we're going to do, it's going to take about half an hour. We're going to run you through about basically our precision livestock app, how that can help you weigh easier, how that can help you log your medicines, how you can then analyze that information, because there's no point recording it if you don't do something with it. And then ultimately, how can you trade your livestock for best price? And it's great to have Ian here because this is Ian's brainchild. And although the team now is very large, Ian is the one that sort of got the ball rolling with it all. So that is the plan. Ask questions as we go along. There is a chat box and a question box. Do type your questions in and we'll stop and go through them as and when. So if you don't already know, maybe you don't have it, Breedr is a livestock app available on iOS and Android. You can get that for your Apple phone and for your Android phone from each Play stores. If you just search Breedr Livestock, it will come up. When you sync your BCMS, we will send you a hat, one of these. And on the back, it says backed by Breedr. Ian, why do we put backed by Breedr on the back of the caps?
Well, James, I think everyone's always been asking us why it's free. And I think what we're trying to do is invest in British farmers. And we're really excited by what data and the app can do for individual farmers to improve their productivity and also improve the consistency of the quality of the meat we produce and therefore lift the entire market. So from our perspective, we see it as investing in those British farmers to produce better meat. And that's why we think we're backed by Breedr, and at the end of the day, we're going to hopefully raise the standards of the livestock industry in terms of consistency and quality, and get better prices and better quality coming out the other end. So we're excited by the opportunities that the next few years holds for the industry.
Oh yeah, and it definitely is going to be a challenging few years. Welcome, guys. See a few more people have joined. Ask questions. We're going to be about half an hour. We'll grab your questions as we go through. And this is Ian. Ian founded Breedr, so it's great to have him along today. So if you don't know, the Breedr app has unlimited users and it updates it in real time. So if you've got a team of people across your farm, they can all access the Breedr app. And then you also can have unlimited animals. So I think our largest farm is about 4,500 animals, and one of the smallest is my own with 21. So it works for all sorts of different farms. And we're going to run through a bit of what Breedr does. So if this is the Breedr web app, so you can log in here and look at all your data. And likewise, we also have a mobile phone app. So I'm just going to show that to you. And there's a couple of different things you can do in the mobile phone app. But the first thing you need to do is add your BCMS, and at the moment you do this on the web. So you create your Breedr account, you click on the cog button. If you don't already have your farm software username and password, we can request that for you. So if you message us, you can message us here and click on the send us a message button, and we'll request those details on your behalf. And BCMS will send those to you, and then we'll add those details when you have them here. You click new connection, and you select BCMS integration, and then you type in that username and password, which is a special username and password BCMS will send to you. And once you've done that, you can get straight into the Breedr app. And one of the first things, Ian, I think you'll agree with me, that our farmers love is our crush mode. So for those who don't know, our crush mode is a really easy weighing tool. So I think Ian, like when you started this, weighing was a big issue, wasn't it, for farmers?
Yeah, well, I think it's more than just weighing. The amount of data that people have to collect, which I would nicely refer to as red tape, and it wasn't necessarily letting farmers get all of the feedback and performance data they need, and it was more exactly that red tape and not letting you drive the productivity of the farm. So one of the first things we wanted to do was be able to put a really easy way, integrated way, seamless way that sort of might seem obvious, but should have existed forever on getting the weigh heads to get it into your phone. So you can do that analysis while you're in the fields and don't have to go back to the sheds or back to the office. So you know, we're very excited by it. People who love it. Certainly the farmers who are using it at the moment have found this to be one of the key parts in terms of improving productivity. So yeah, very, as you can tell, very excited by it, James.
Well, I love the crush mode. So the crush mode is it's basically a way of weighing and then adding information about your animals. But the clever thing about it is that it links to a range of weighheads and EID readers. So if you've got any of the True Test range, the S3, the EasyWay 7i, the XR 5000, and any of the EID readers, we link with those. So what happens is that you'll pair up those to your phone, then you'll click Begin Crush Mode. We can set up a session, and we can add various activities. So if we are onboarding a load of new animals, we could select update their VID and EID. So if you've got a whole load of new animals coming in, you want to change their visual ID, we can do that. We can also add a draft, so we can draft onto very shortly on up to 6 groups, and we can set conditions. So at the moment you can set weight, but we're also adding the ability to do age, sex, and days on farm, which is really important when you're drafting fat cattle. So you've got to imagine that your weighhead is connected, and then the animal walks into the crush, and it pops up a weight. And the weight in this case is going to be 480 kilos. So automatically the weight comes across, and then we need to find the animal. Now, if we had an EID reader and the cow had an EID tag, we could bleep that tag, and it would pop up the record, and they would connect. Or we can also search it. So we just tap on the waiting for scan, and we can type in the cow's visual ID or a passport number. So in this case, visual ID for this cow is 151. Then this shows me some really useful information. It shows me it shows me a couple of things. So I can see here what the daily live weight gain is, because I can see how much it's grown since its last weighing. We can see here the delta. And Ian, what's the delta? Why is the delta important when we're looking at weighing cattle?
Yeah, well, this is one of the big things we introduced right from the start, because obviously you want your animals to continue to grow, because that means revenue per day on your farm. And so it's an instant indicator. And if you're seeing an animal that's dropping off, could be a couple of reasons. It could be health and issues around health. It could be how you're managing a transition diet. But also when you're doing fat cattle, is they're starting to top out at the top of their weight. You want those animals, you want to see them before they start to become unprofitable, because obviously the amount of feed you give them per day versus the amount of revenue they get is very important. So this is an early catch to get profitable animals out the door in spec. And
you can log all sorts of activities in this as well. So we can log information like, well, I can show you. We press the golden button, we can log an activity, we could log a treatment, we could log a note. So if, for example, the animal had a lost tag, we could add that in the note, and then we can see that on our notes report on the web. And we can also add a medicine, and we're going to talk about our medicines in a minute. But just the ability to really easily record this data on a smartphone. This app is free, so you can, with your existing weighhead, or for a very low buy-in price, you can get weighings, or basically automated weighing. And the only thing you've got to worry about is getting that animal in the crush. It takes the stress out of weighing.
Yeah, and the nice thing here is when you've got your EIDs linked up and your weighhead linked up, you don't actually need to touch your phone. And we're seeing people weigh in 10 to 20 seconds. It reduces the stress on the animal. It doesn't set them back nearly as much as what it would if you're having to wrangle with the ear tag to be able to find out what the number is. So all of these sort of really hands-free automated ways of doing it help boost your productivity at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. And if you have a panel reader like the XRP2, you don't even have to touch the stick. So all you're doing is just pushing those animals up, and all the business happens at the front end. So once you're done with the session, once you've done weighing, you press the pause button, and then we can see a summary of the session. So let's say you're weighing 100 animals. It would then all pop up in here. We can then see the summary of the session, and then if we wanted to save it, we click Save and Finish Session. You can do this online and offline. So if your crush area, you're handling facilities that don't have any signal, don't worry about it. As long as you've opened the app previously within the internet connection, you'll be able to have all the animal data in your phone that you need to run the crush section.
Yeah, important point here, James. If you've made a mistake, you can also click on that animal in the summary screen. It'll take you back to it. You might want to add something at the end. Before you save it, you can still go back and review and see how it all went. So that's all very important, because we understand mistakes happen, and we want to get accurate data into the system.
Definitely. And the app also speaks to you. So if you click on the top button, it will tell you as you're weighing if you've got the speaker loud enough or headphones in, you'll be able to hear what it's saying. So you don't even need to look at the phone. It will tell you what the animal's weight gain is and how much is increased by, or whether it's decreasing as well. So that's really useful information. And so one of the other things as well that we built for making it really easy to record data is our medicine cabinet. And proper medicine recording, I know for me, is a real pain. On my farm, it was on scraps of paper. We'd keep old bottles around. Then before the inspector came, we'd write it all into our medicine book. With the Breedr app, it's really easy to record our medicine usage. So I've got a bottle of Animicin here. So I click on the gold button. I can then scan that, and it will scan through. And then that populates the records. So here we can see that we have Animicin. So I've just scanned a bottle of Animicin. It takes today as the day to purchase, but we could also tap on that and change it. And if the medicine has a different pack size, it will detect what pack you've just scanned. So for example, blackleg comes in big bottles and small bottles. And if we were scanning a big bottle, it would put that pack size in. It tells us the total volume. So if we were adding half a bottle because we've already used it on another species, we could add that and say we're only using half of it. And it adds the expiry date and the batch number. And it's really important when we're adding this that we type in where we get it, because that completes our regulatory record. And Ian, why is cost important? Why would I, as a farmer, want to write down the cost of a bottle of Animicin?
Yeah, well, again, this all comes back to looking at end-of-year profitability, and also we're developing more and more stuff every day from the feedback that we get from our farmers. And one of the things we want to be able to do is really help you with estimating the gross margin of individual cattle that you have on your farm. And by capturing this cost, it'll let us go back with you and generate reports to make sure that you're assessing that cost and the productivity on each animal. So at the end of the day, it's not just about what you bought it for and what you sold it. It's about how much you put into it while it's on the farm. And this is a great way of being able to do that and allocate it to individual animals as you go through.
Yeah, definitely. And what would you say that it's not just the cost of my preventative care, but also looking at the cost of what it cost me when I got an animal that might have pneumonia and the amount of Draxin and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, exactly. All of the above. And then we can actually start linking it back to where you bought those animals from, which sires are producing more animals that are more costly. You know, all of these sort of breeding decisions and purchase decisions become really important in the future.
And one of so now I've got that data in my medicine cabinet, I can look at it here. So I dosed my cows with loads of blackleg before I turned them out. So I can then see that I disposed of 15 mil, and I can see the history of that. So, and then that updates my regulatory report. And then when I'm going to dose that on some animals, I can do it in a couple of different ways. Remember that this app is free, and it's available on Android and your iPhone, and it works across your entire team. So if you've got a farm hand, or maybe a couple of people who work on the farm, they can download this app as well, and you can invite them in and it will update seamlessly. So I can log it on an individual animal. So let's say I've got an animal with an issue. So I'll find Aurea. I'll click on her animal record. I'll then press this button here, and then I can log an activity, vet med, administer medicine, and then in this case I'd give her Animicin. So I can give it a drop down on Animicin. But if I had Loxicom likewise and I scan that bottle, that would be in here already. I then type in the dosage. The withdrawal days is taken over from NOAA, but it's always worth, NOAA is the database where we get this data from, which is a regulatory database of medicines, but it's always worth checking the bottle and checking the pack to make sure that you're writing down the withdrawal correctly. We would then write in the reason. Now, Ian, we don't have a drop down here yet. Why would that? What kind of reasons do I want to be recording to make sure that you can get the analysis that you just talked about?
Yeah, so I think the important here is, one, from a farm assurance perspective, we have to collect the reason. And so, you know, making sure it's very clear of the reason, but also it does let you come back and do analysis later on. And what we are now working on is sort of farmer-centric reasons that go with this. So quite often we've seen on other systems where the reasons are very sort of veterinary based and not often easy to detect. So we're now working on how we link all of that together and make the reason to selection much easier and make sure you stay compliant from a farm assurance perspective as well.
And so in this case, I would be logging something like, you know, a lame cow or eye issue, that sort of thing. And when I log this, it will then update my medicine book that this animal online in the correct format for Red Tractor. But it also writes down who's administered it. So if you've got a team of people, it updates as well. So that's how we do it on an individual animal. Now, let's say I was doing it across a group of animals. It was blackleg or something. I would click on group. I would then select the group. So 2020 calves. I actually gave them a fly spray the other day. And I could click on this button here, select all, manage, and then do exactly the same with log activity, and then vet med, and then administer medicine. Now, our medicine cabinet is reasonably comprehensive, but there are some medicines which aren't in the NOAA database. These will be generic medicines, so rebranded medicines you're buying from places like Moore Valley, or other providers like Winstay, and they might not be in NOAA. So you can then have to click on generic medicine, and then you'd go log all, and you would type in the medicine names. We're adding the ability to add non-NOAA medicines, so those generic medicines, to your own medicine cabinet, and that will be available very shortly. So you won't have to do this, but that for the moment is how you would add a non-NOAA medicine. Likewise, we can also log a medicine in the crush. So let's say you're weighing 150 animals, and there might be one that comes through which has got a lesion, or it might have a wound, and you want to treat that, and you would do the logging in exactly the same way, but you would do it whilst the animal's right in front of you. It might be, as we saw earlier, that you have an animal that's had a drop in daily live weight gain, and that you then want to give that medicine animal treatment. It might be a wormer, specific wormer, or some sort of treatment to maybe correct the loss in daily live weight gain. And you can log that and see and make that decision at the crush side, which is a really powerful tool in the Breedr crush mode. I think you'd agree, and that's probably why you invented it in the first place.
Yeah, well, we know that we don't want to be sitting in front of a desk. In fact, on daylight today, the last thing you want to do is be sitting in front of a desk. So you want to be out in the fields and making these decisions when it matters at the crush or in the field. And I think having it all on your phone, but then syncing it with every other person on the phone, it can automatically go back to the office if someone else is in the office doing it. You know, that's super important to make sure everyone on the farm stays aligned, but also you can make the decisions when you need to make them, not have to go all the way back to the house and back out to the yards and look at the animals if you need to.
Yeah, definitely. And we've got a question, Ian, which I'll attempt to answer, but please do chip in. So the question is, can you transfer medical records into Farm Plan Cattle Manager to save double entry? Now, the answer to that is that I can't speak for how Farm Plan works, but I can show you how you can get the medicine records out of Breedr. So we can do that in a couple of different ways. We can click on reports, and we can click here on our medicine book and our record book. And so this shows me all the this is my log of medicines, and I can download this. I'll click these three buttons here, download, and then I can save it as an Excel file or as an image or as a PDF. I can do exactly the same thing for my medicine book, which is the log of all the animals that I have used it on. So you can then take this file and do with whatever you want. At the moment, they're in the red tractor and the trading standards required format. I can't speak to how you would upload this into Farm Plan. We are able to take Farm Plan weight export. So if you do a weight export out of Farm Plan or True Test, we can upload those and read those files automatically. I don't know if Farm Plan has got that functionality for Breedr medical data, but it might be something you want to ask them, and we'd be really happy to look at how we can support that, because we know how good it is to have all your data talking to each other. And Ian, actually, maybe that's something you might want to talk about. How do you feel about data being moved from sort of system to system? Are you protective about it, or?
Absolutely not, James. So we are very strong that the farmer's data is the farmer's data. It's up to the farmer if he wants to use that. And when we start talking about livestock marketing, again, it is up to the farmer if he wants to share that data. And I think that means if we are not precious, we want to make it as easy as possible for you to get data out of Breedr and into any other system. And that's why we're starting to link with other technologies. We'd happily discuss which ones are out there and try and link with more, because from our perspective, this is about how we make it easier for the farmer and when you're out there in the field or in the office. And it's been definitely a pain on our farm of actually getting data to talk to one another, and sometimes it seems overly cumbersome.
Yeah, and in Arable, they've got the ISO bus. So, you know, all of the equipment talks to each other, and it's a real shame that doesn't exist yet in livestock farming.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, guys, do ask more questions. You know, we'll carry on going for as long as we've got questions for. I hope that answers your question. do get in touch with our support team. If you have issues around data, maybe you've got a historic system, you want to import that over, come chat to them. You can do that in a couple of different ways. You can call them, and the number is on the website. You can click on this button and drop them a message, which is generally the best way to get hold of them. And you can also drop them an email, which is, you can reach them at support@breedr.co. Gabby and Rachel are really friendly, and they will definitely be able to sort you out. So there is so much you can do with the app. It's really hard to try and fit it into half an hour. But the principle is that you can just record data about your farm really easily. And I'm going to show you how you would log a birth on Breedr. So in fact, I'm just going to take that across one side. I'm just going to change my business unit onto a test one. So we call farms business units in Breedr. And that means that you can have multiple businesses or multiple holdings under the same organization. So it might be that you run an integrated supply chain and you've got 4 or 5 farms that you want to use the app. That can all happen onto the same organization, so you can have complete oversight of that, but then the other farmers can't see each other's accounts. That might be one way that you might want to use Breedr. It's a really versatile tool. So the way I would log a birth is I click on log birth. I could type in the passport number, which would be my herd number, and then a couple of zeros, and then that. I could scan the ID tag of the animal, and that then sticks with the animal for the rest of the birth. I could set its visual ID. 001. I set the sex, date of birth, which would be today in this case, and then I'll set the breed, and the breed is going to be a Belgian Blue. I then would select the dam. Now this is great because I can just click on this and I can search the dam. So let's say I've got 1,000 animals. It's really easy to find the dam, and the dam in this case is 541. I would select her, that she is the dam, click submit. And recording the sire. Now, recording the sire is really important. Now, Ian Wheal is the sire in our test app.
Thanks, James.
I did not put that on here. So, Ian, why do we want to record the sire when we're creating an animal?
Well, there's a few reasons, James. Obviously, very important from your own breeding, because what we've seen across different farms, and we'll probably have a look at the sire report in a second, is that different sires, even despite having good EBVs for a number of these sires, how they perform on your farm is really important to you. And what this enables you to do is really track what the offspring's doing on your farm and which are the animals that actually let you see the performance on farm. And I think it's a big one because EBVs are estimated breeding values. What we're after is for you on your farm to see the actual breeding performance that comes out of those bulls. And I think that's very, very important for you to make your own decisions, informed by EBVs, but definitely make your own decisions for the animals that perform on your farm.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing as well, Ian, and we'll talk about this in a little bit about the trading, is that an animal with a named sire is generally worth more, isn't it? There are premiums available for named sires. So it's really important that we add the named sire on at the beginning of the process. So I'm going to click Save and Continue. Now, this is an optional feature. You can then add, and we really encourage this because it's in the app. You've got the animal in front of you. So even if you don't know the birth weight, it is worth recording the birth difficulty, the presentation, whether or not there are any abnormalities, and then there is a standard birth calving vigor that then allows you to build up an idea of how good your genetics are or how good your nutrition is based on this. So I really highly encourage you. This is an optional extra in Breedr, and our customer support can turn it on for you. Just get in touch with them and they can turn it on for your account, and then you'll be able to log all of this information to make better decisions about breeding for the following year.
And James, especially if what we're also seeing is a lot of beef in the UK isn't just suckler. There's sort of 50% is out of the dairy herd. And so if you're a dairy farmer and you're logging this information and you have that data around your calf and how it's been treated, it makes that calf worth more to the calf rearer or the finisher who is then buying that calf. And so very important that you start capturing this data. And it will let also that rearer or finisher feed back to you which sires are really performing when they go into rear and finish. So we can actually lift the whole industry through performance, because we'll see daily live weight gains difference on sire that can actually be up to sort of 0.8 to 1 kilogram a day. Yeah. So it's really, really important productivity, and that's all revenue to the supply chain.
I agree. And we have dairy farmers, calf rearers, suckler farmers, finishers, all types of farmers on Breedr. The app is designed primarily for cattle production, but sheep are on the way, aren't they, Ian? And other stuff as well? Or
Yeah, and different species is definitely on the way, but this is work for us in the second half of the year. So anyone who is a sheep farmer likes what we're trying to do here. We're really interested in your feedback, because we want to build something that can work easily across your whole farm, and a bit of the same mentality on individual animal and profit is what we want to really build into that as well. And I think, yeah, very excited about what that can bring.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, in fact, we have somebody in Breedr conducting interviews at the moment with sheep farmers. So if you are a sheep farmer and you're listening at the moment, email Rachel@breedr.co, and that's Rachel, Hael, at breedr.co, and she will get in touch with you because she's looking for your opinion. One thing I am going to show you, which is a new feature in Breedr, which is coming out very shortly, is the ability to send movements, deaths, and births to BCMS. So you will log your movements and your deaths and your births in your phone, and then when you've got a spare moment, you'll just come back into the office. You'll be able to easily identify any issues with those movements. It might be that you have a large team and that you might have multiple people logging those movements, so you just want to check that they've got it right before you send it. But it's really easy to do that, and this is where you'll do it. So there'll be a new tab along the side for regulatory, and we also will have a completely compliant movement book. Now, you don't have to do this. You can carry on using your old system. If you love calling BCMS, that's totally fine. But this is an optional extra which you can turn on for your business unit, and it's available completely for free. I mean, maybe you really like Vivaldi and you want to listen to that Holes music, but I really recommend this. So this will be out very shortly, and I know I'm quite excited about it. It's something that we've been working on for a little while. So Ian, we're recording all this data. What are we doing with it? Reports is a real passion of yours, isn't it? So shall I turn on some reports and you can talk about them?
Yeah, go for it. Let's fly through a couple and go from there.
Are you going to be nice about my cows and my cow performance?
No, James, you're doing very well and getting better, but that's the aim. Like, everything takes time. So this isn't something you can make changes overnight. So I think what is very important is, so what are we doing with this data? We capture all this data. How's it actually going to drive a decision on your farm? And I think every time we're capturing a bit of data, we're thinking about what decisions it can help you drive. And this is a good example. When you're capturing your births and you're capturing your weights, you can start to see the daily live weight gain of the offspring of those dams. So you can see which dams are producing higher growth rate animals. And if you're holding on to those animals, obviously a higher growth rate means more profit at the end of the day. And so it's very important when you're thinking about your culling decisions to drive commercially valuable farms. And I think one thing we've always said is we're very excited about sustainability, but all sustainability starts with commercial sustainability from a farmer perspective. And I think, you know, what we're trying to do here is really drive some of those decision making that comes out of the data.
So we've got this report in front of us, and these are my cows. These are real animals. The number 2 here denotes that whilst they've been on my farm, they've had 2 calves, and then the bar shows the daily live weight gain of that calf. So we can or the average of between the 2 calves. So we can see here number 47, who is a 3.5-year-old cow now. She's just had a second calf, and her calves average 1.1 kilos a day of growth, which, you know, that's all right. That's not awful. It's not the best, but for a suckler cow, native breed, that's pretty good. We can then see down at the bottom, 181 equally has had 2 calves, but the average between our 2 calves is 390 grams a day. Now that is definitely below average. The average in the UK is about 640 grams a day, so she is well below the average. Now last year, I could have put that down to there being an issue of pneumonia. That individual animal might have got a little bit of coxy or something, and I knew I could see her calf was not as good as the other. It still had bright eyes, but it was not growing as well. And I thought, well, this year, you know, it will be fine. But actually, it turns out it's not. And that cow is clearly something not quite right with genetics. Maybe it's a very maternal cow, but at the same time, the animal's not growing. Its calves aren't growing, so I can't retain the heifers. And then I also cannot easily sell those animals. So she unfortunately has had 2 heifer calves in the last 2 years, which is a real pain, but I won't be able to keep any of those bloodlines, and I will be getting rid of her at the end of the season. And just looking at this report allows me to make a decision at a farm level. So I'm not just looking at the individual animal record in the crush mode, I'm looking up above and down on my farm and seeing patterns like this. And this is what the Breedr data analytics allow you to do. They allow you to analyze these patterns and make a decision upon it. So likewise, sire performance as well. We can see the same thing here. I have one bull on the farm who's done 13 calves. And then we just bought a new bull this year, new bull Tommy. Here he is, Tommy. Now we bought Tommy based on his EBVs, as we talked about earlier, his estimated breeding values. I can know what his daily live weight gain is, and I've seen the system of the farm I bought it from. But next year, I will be able to be absolutely ruthless and work out very quickly whether or not Tommy is worth keeping around, because I can compare his performance versus last year's performance and make a decision very quickly. So that's what Breedr allows me to do, which is a really powerful tool. Now, Ian, this has all got a point, hasn't it? That we're not giving this away for, well, we are giving this away for free. You're investing in British farmers, and we've got really supportive team who've been able to do it. But how do we make our money at the end of the day? What happens at the end of this process?
Yeah, definitely. Well, when we started out on this journey, we were really certain that we wanted to build a commercial model that when the farmer won, we won. And that was sort of where we started out from. So what we want to be able to do is help produce more consistent quality animals. We know that more consistent quality animals are needed within the supply chain. And so really what we're doing is trying to use that data to help you get better prices for your animals, or at least match those animals to the correct specification for those animals. So we're working with a number of processors. We have specific grids for specific demands, and that enables you to trade and market your animals directly through the Breedr platform. All guaranteed. We're able to get money back to you in exactly the same time. And actually where we're going with that also is we're wanting to then help you take it further. So we've just starting to launch animal finishing investment fund. So we can then give you advances on some of that finishing to enable you to actually get the money to finish these animals. So if you're a store farmer and you want to start finishing a few, then get in contact with us. If you're a suckler farmer and wanting to do the same, and getting to a point where you think that that's going to be a great finishing animal, but you have to sell it because you're out of grass or whatever it is, then give us a call. But we're actively working with a number of farmers who do this. What they've found is that all of this comes to you on the mobile app. You can accept the offers and trades through the mobile app, and every farmer who's using it at the moment has just found it really easy to be able to assess the different opportunities each week. And if it's something that you are interested in, then we don't open it up to everyone. We want people to sort of start using the app and getting some data around their animals. But, if that's what you've done and you're now looking for the next step, then give us a call. And Brian or Mark, who sort of manage a lot of that procurement, are able to really come in and have a chat with you about it, set you up, and start opening up those opportunities to you. So, or call me. I'm also very happy to be contacted directly. So, but yeah, we're very excited by the opportunities that we can do with this to offer a new avenue for farmers. But part of that is you're using your data to market your animals better. And if you're someone who produces animals in spec all the time, that's valuable, and you need to know that, and you should treasure that.
So in the Breedr app, we can record our data really easily. We can analyze it to be more productive, can't we? And then we can trade for our best price and use that data as that logbook. You wouldn't buy a car without a logbook. And likewise, in the industry, there are people out there who'll pay more for your animals because they know they're buying a consistent product. They'll pay the best price for your animals that you're able to get hold of. And once you have spoken to Brian and Mark, you'll get added to the Breedr preferred supplier group, and this then allows you to see these trades. And every week, Breedr will send you trades that match your farm, and you'll be able to find opportunities to get the best price for your livestock. So it's a real opportunity.
Just another question here, James. So can I import past calving details out of farm plan? Yeah, absolutely. If you've got any troubles with importing any of that, in fact, with a lot of farms that come on, they're importing historic weight data as well, because that starts to help build the trends on your farm so you can get predictive weight growth rates. So all of that stuff is very important. Even if they're off farm, we can import some of those. So get in touch with Rachel and Gabby and go from there. And then, another question that I've just seen come up in terms of can I like buy and sell live weight animals as well. And yes, absolutely, there's live weight animals that can come through. What we're trying to do here is really enable you to see what the weights of these animals are before they come onto farm. But again, at this stage, we're doing that within closed producer groups. So we're encouraging farmers to set up their own supply chains, work directly with their supply base, be it calf rearers or store farmers, to try and effectively build their own group of farmers who are becoming more productive. And I think we're very excited about getting farmers to work together to produce a better product.
And Ian, you've mentioned something. There is so much in the Breedr app. It's so hard to talk about it all in half an hour. But we also have this ability to look at the predictions of the animals. So the more farmers that join Breedr, if you're a breeder farmer now, the more farmers that join Breedr, the more intelligent the algorithm becomes and the better data insight it can provide you. So here, Breedr is predicting what my 151, the heifer I was talking about earlier, what that cow weighs. And it can see that in the summer its growth slows down because the animals are grass. Breedr doesn't know that, but what it knows is that across the summer as a whole in the country, the cows slow down. So the more farmers that you come on, the more farmers you invite your friends to Breedr, they can get the benefits too for free, the more intelligent that the algorithm becomes. And Ian, well, you'd agree with me, there is so much in here that's available for free.
Yeah. Well, even just here, James, you can see these bands, which are the bands on your farm or the bands across Breedr. We can benchmark where your animals sit. Yeah. And so when you actually go to the mobile app, you might have noticed next to the individual animal a red, a green, or a blue. And so that's an instant way when you're out in the fields to see whether your animals are performing or not performing compared to the other animals. So again, the more background data you have in your system, the more you can see whether these animals are better than last year, they've improved, and so on and so forth. But you can also instantly see the red against some of those, so you can see if there's an issue. So there you go, James has got it up there. You can see that one's green there, and if you go to the animal list, James, back a bit, you're able to see the different colors instantly when you're on the farm looking at those animals. So like, we're excited by that. Again, how do we put it in your hands when you're in the field to make the decisions you need to make?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think we've taken enough of everyone's evening, and Ian, thank you so much for joining us. If anyone's got any questions, I'm going to give a little bit of a spiel about what we're talking about next week, and you can ask those and we'll answer those before we get it. But if you don't already have the free Breedr app, you can get it at our website, which is breedr.co/getbreedr. Also, you can download the Breedr mobile app on Android and your iPhone or your iPad, and that's just search Breedr Livestock. When you sync your BCMS, we'll send you a hat. If you don't have your BCMS details, ask Gabby and Rachel to request them on your behalf. I can see we've had no more questions. So next week we are talking about analytics. We're doing a bit of a deep dive. We're going to look at some of the reports that aren't available in Breedr just at the moment, but stuff that you can if you start entering your data, will be available very shortly. And I hope we'll have an update on BCMS as well, and we might run through how the new BCMS process works. So guys, do get in touch with us. Ian, thank you for your time this evening. I'm currently roasting in some sun.
You're doing a fabulous job. Anyway, great. Thank you all for joining. Really appreciate you taking out time of the day when it's so warm, and most people probably want to be in the field. So apologies, but thank you.
I mean, this will be available on YouTube, and yeah, join us again next week. Ian, thank you again for your time, and speak to you all soon.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Goodbye.